Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome to Steer the Line, where every Friday we give you NFL analysis, fantasy football breakdowns, and sports betting previews. I'm Christian Giordani, joined alongside Loud Esmond and Rocky Giordani. Now let's get ready to steer the line.
Well, good Friday afternoon, and football game going on right now on a Friday.
I've got actually two going on behind me. I've got SMU at BYU, so it's SMU versus BU, and then of course the Eagles and the Packers from Rio de Janeiro is about to kick off. Which, by the way, if it's so dangerous there that you're not allowed to leave the hotel for any reason or get off the bus at anywhere except the stadium or your hotel, and they're bringing in ex-Navy SEALs and ex-Secret Service people, why are you playing a game there? Are you insane?
It's about expansion, but I don't think that's the right city to expand to, you know.
Brazil? That just doesn't make any sense to me. There are places that already have an interest in U.S. football. Germany, Mexico, Canada has CFL, London. I do not get going to Rio de Janeiro to play a football game. Sorry, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All right, we're a betting show, and let's get my bets out of the way. Here's my personal bets this weekend that I have actually made. Here are my tickets. The actual bets that I have currently in the NFL: Texans money line against the Colts. That's about minus 135. In another game in the NFL, Chargers money line minus 128 with the Raiders. Of course, the Chargers are the home team in that game. The Texans are at the Colts. My reasoning is straightforward. I don't trust any point spreads in the first couple weeks because I don't know what the teams really are, but I will tell you this. Jim Harbaugh is a better coach. Jim Harbaugh is a more experienced coach. The Raiders have nothing at quarterback. Justin Herbert has not, I think, reached his potential yet. The Chargers have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. The Raiders' secondary sucks. Their defense is questionable overall. They have running back by committee with Zamir White and somebody else, and who cares? And Devontae Adams is a gadget receiver. And then they've got two great tight ends. But just like my concern going into the game last night, and I was telling everybody that would listen to this, I love the addition of Derrick Henry, but here's my problem. I'm not sure that offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, is going to know how to use him appropriately. And I will tell you, at the end of the game, they're 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line needing a touchdown. Derrick Henry was on the sidelines for all 4 plays. That's ridiculous. You don't run one RPO. You don't run one quarterback power with Derrick Henry as the lead blocker. You don't give Derrick Henry one chance to go off tackle. I mean, gain 5 yards with Derrick Henry, and then you're 2nd and 5. They never got past the 10-yard line. And they called one after the other deep passing plays into the end zone. And what did Huggy Bear do? He missed. That second opportunity, Isaiah Likely was wide open. And the one place that he couldn't catch the ball is if you threw it over his head out of bounds. And that's exactly what Lamar Jackson did.
He had two wide open throws. One to Zay Flowers, one to Isaiah Likely in the corner. And then Isaiah Likely, huge catch, giant adjustment, just by a hair. He had a Kevin Durant moment right there where his toe was on the line. And that just cost him the game. But 2 terrible passes by Huggy Bear, yeah. And
he
you
let
have, you know,
on the last pass where his foot was an inch out of bounds, he let him too far. He didn't have to throw it that far. I don't know if it's a lack of physical ability or mental ability, but in big moments, Lamar Jackson shrinks. Just the way it is. All right, so Texans over the Colts money line, Chargers over the Raiders money line. I'm looking seriously at Falcons -3 with the Steelers coming to Atlanta because I'm hearing that Russell Wilson may not play because he's got tightness in that same calf again. I'm starting to wonder if Russell Wilson really wants to play. I'm not. He hasn't shown any real sense of urgency in training camp. He's getting paid $50 million this year or something ridiculous, no matter what he does. So why? I mean, why go out and show that, yeah, you suck? And because Russell Wilson was going to start, I'm like, okay, I love what the Falcons have, but I'm not sure that coming out the gate, Kirk Cousins has never played with those receivers. Kirk Cousins has never played with that offensive line. He's never played with that running back, except in preseason and practice. You talk about practice. Practice. I just, whenever teams are, still meshing, I don't really trust them. But I'll tell you this. The minute I get word that Justin Fields is starting that game, I'm hammering Falcons -3 because I think he is an absolute bust. I think he'll turn the ball over at least twice, either fumbling or throwing an interception. Lamar almost threw 2 last night. Uncharacteristically, Mahomes threw 1 and almost threw another. So those are my NFL bets. In college tomorrow, I've got Georgia Tech -2.5 at Syracuse. I love what I'm seeing out of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They won in an upset over Florida State in Dublin to open the season, week 0. And then I was like, okay, now show me that you can come home and play a minor foe in Georgia, Georgia Southern, and do your business. And it was a 17.5 point spread for Georgia Tech at home. They beat them by 23. So, okay, they stayed focused and they beat an inferior foe and covered the spread. I love what I'm seeing from the Yellow Jackets. They're -2.5 at Syracuse. Syracuse is a basketball school. I don't trust them in football. I like that. And then Penn State beat West Virginia. And West Virginia only scored 12 points, and I think Penn State scored like 36, and they had 2 long touchdown plays. And, oh, look, Penn State's getting offense. Oh, my God, Penn State is getting long plays, and everybody's high on Penn State. That spread with Bowling Green coming to Penn State was 27 all summer. It's now Bowling Green +35. Bowling Green has an explosive offense. They scored something like 50 points in their opening game. And yeah, they played not a great team, but they didn't play Sister Mary's School of Typists. They played an actual team, and they beat the absolute snot out of them. If Bowling Green scores 13 points, Penn State can score 45 and not cover. Right? Yeah. Do the math for me. 45 -13 is 32, right? Yeah, and the line is 35. So I just, what I worry about in college football is week 1, a lot of really good teams play really crappy opponents, and they win like 63-3. And people get all excited, and they're like, oh, my God. And then the lines the second week are ridiculous because they know, look, the books know the public is dumb when it comes to betting. That's why there's these giant hotels in Las Vegas. So what they do is they adjust the lines as far out as they think they can get the public to be dumb enough to buy in. And sure enough, the public does. And they clean up every time. Now, I have one exception to this. Ole Miss. Christian Giordani, you're familiar with the work of one Lane Kiffin?
I believe so.
Was he ever a coach with the Rams?
I believe he was.
He was USC, and I believe he was the offensive coordinator at the Rams at some point. So what is Lane Kiffin known for? Besides being a jerk, Lane Kiffin is known for having very explosive offenses and no running game and no defense. So what happens to Ole Miss? When Ole Miss plays crappy teams, they score 70, look great, then they play Alabama and they get their head caved in. Okay. Ole Miss, in their first game, yeah, they scored north of 60 points. So what? Yeah, they had a bunch of explosive plays. So what? But you know what they have this year? They have a 250-pound transfer running back that looks like Derrick Henry. Oh, my Jesus. He is a battering ram. I watched one play where they knew it was like 3rd and 1, 3.5 yard. Everybody knew who was getting the ball. He went right up the middle and gained 7 yards. And it was like Gulliver and the Lilliputians. He just kept walking and the whole team was on his back, it seemed like. And he fell down after a 7-yard gain. They have a power running game that can close out games. And their defense is hellacious. They're ranked number 8 in the country right now. For me, they're a dark horse potential champion. After watching that first game, they're minus 42.5. Minus 42.5. With Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders coming to Ole Miss. I'm on them minus 43. I think minus 42. If they score, I think they're going to score 63, 65 points on the Blue Raiders, and the Blue Raiders might score 10. And I know it's a huge spread, but that's the one huge spread team I believe in coming out of week 2. I'm out of week 1 in college football. All right. Those are my picks. Christian, over to you. Anything you want to add?
Oh, all right. Well, Loud, I got one question for you. It's the first week of the season. We already had the Ravens versus Chiefs. Very exciting game so far.
And by the way, I had the Eagles Chiefs going by. My pick in that game was last night was Chiefs money line. They actually did end up covering the spread, but I wasn't comfortable. I knew the Chiefs were going to win. I just didn't know if it was going to be by 1 or by 7. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. First week of the season, to you, what is the most important game this week?
I don't know if I have a most important game, but I have some most important questions. And that is Jamar, all around the holdouts. Jamar Chase may not play. And even if he does, if he does, are they gonna play him? Even if he's under contract, he's not in football shape. And by the way, Jamar Chase had the most snaps last year on Cincinnati besides Joe Burrow, the most targets, the most yards, the most catches, and the most touchdowns. How much production is Cincinnati missing? A lot. Oh, CeeDee Lamb. Is he in football shape? Hell no. If I'm Dallas, I'm not letting him play because I don't want him pulling a hamstring or pulling a calf muscle or something stupid in a game you're probably going to lose anyway to Cleveland. By the way, CeeDee Lamb last year for Dallas, most snaps, most targets, most yards, most catches, most touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk, is he in football shape? No. He held out too. By the way, most snaps except for George Kittle. Most targets, most yards, most catches, most touchdowns. And oh, by the way, Trent Williams hasn't been in training camp all season. Those three teams, Dallas, Cincinnati, San Francisco, I think are going to be missing a ton of offensive production. And I don't want to, I can't bet on any of them because of it.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on the fact that these guys aren't in NFL-ready shape. At least the skill positions like Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, these guys stay in shape year-round. They know what they have to do with their bodies. They have personal trainers. They have home gyms. They have their own facilities. My biggest concern with them is not their physical shape. It's are they caught up with the playbook this year? Have they ran through their RPOs with their quarterbacks? Obviously, that's the biggest concern for me, for them going into this year, not their physical shape. But Jamar Chase already said he's willing to play this year without a contract extension and talk. He just wants to get the gears going. Joe Burrow and T. Higgins basically had to drag him out of his house to show up to practice. And now the biggest thing is there's a giant turmoil between former LSU teammates Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase now.
Yeah. That's really too bad because I think Cincinnati is the one team that has shown the ability to beat Kansas City in a playoff game. Yep. And it's the same thing I said about the Ravens. I said, until they beat Kansas City, I'm not backing them against Kansas City. Until the Bills beat Kansas City consistently, I'm not backing there is no one I am going to back against Kansas City. I just can't. There isn't anyone except Cincinnati. But if Cincinnati has turmoil, that's a problem. The other thing that I think, besides games that are important, I think look how the rookie quarterbacks look is very important. Bo Nix looked great in the preseason. But does that really mean anything? I'm not sure. So Bo Nix playing at the Seahawks, that's going to be fascinating. It's Seahawks -4.5. I've got to see Geno Smith play a real game this year until I'm comfortable with where he is. They've got possibly a top 5 receiver room. They've got great running backs. They have a really good defensive-minded coach. And they're at home, where the Seahawks are generally hard to beat. But I'm not ready to bet on the Seahawks yet this year. Caleb Williams, a lot of hype. I don't buy it. The Titans are, however, only +4.5 at the Bears. What do the Titans have? Not much. I liked Will Levis. He's got DeAndre Hopkins, but Hopkins is questionable going to this game. I'm staying away. Jay,
I want to pump the brakes on that game right now real quick.
Yep.
Just so everyone knows, for everyone who follows stats and think that's the license and the formula to win sports betting, no QB drafted #1 overall has won a game since the year I was born, 2002, and that quarterback is your boy's big brother, David Carr.
Right. Mm-hmm. Boy, was that he won one game, and then I think they lost the next 15.
Yeah, so no #1 overall draft pick has won their opener. So if you want to put that into your decision making, there it is right there.
Jaden Daniels, I love. I love him with the Washington Commanders. They're playing at the Buccaneers. You love Baker, I know, Christian.
That's my boy.
Commanders are +4 at the Buccaneers. If this game was in Washington, I might be interested, but that they are playing in Tampa Bay. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be great. I think eventually, if you ask me to predict this rookie quarterback class, I'm going to tell you the guy who's going to have the best career is Michael Penix.
There you go.
The second best is going to be Jaden Daniels. And that's, hey, all right, you're making a face and giving me the stink eye.
I'm just gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Well, the Michael Penix
who's going to be better? Who's going to be
24?
Okay. All right, let's put them in order. Michael Penix is my 1. Jaden Daniels is my 2. Bo Nix is my 3. Caleb Williams is my 4 out of that rookie class. How do you rank them?
Okay, I got J.J. McCarthy as my 1. Bo Nix is my 2. Drake
I'm
May
sorry,
is
I left
my
out
3.
J.J. McCarthy. I would go Michael Penix. I would go Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. Who am I forgetting?
Caleb Williams,
Bo
Drake
Nix,
May,
and then
Bo
Caleb
Nix.
Williams. Bo Nix, and then my last is Caleb Williams. My first is Michael Penix, and then you could mix them up the rest of the way.
The only reason I'm going to say no to Michael Penix is just because of the situation he's in. He's sitting behind a guy on a 4-year contract,
which is
due a lot of
perfect
money
for him.
But he's 20. He's 25 years old. That's the only issue. By the time he'll start, he'll be almost 30.
No,
that's my biggest concern.
No, Michael Penix might be the starting quarterback for the Falcons before the season is over.
It's a big mess up. I think it was a mess up for the Falcons anyway, because if you're going to draft Michael Penix Jr., why pay Kirk Cousins that much money for 4 years?
They didn't think they would. Stop. They didn't think they would get Michael Penix Jr. at the position that they were drafting. They didn't think he'd be available. That's what happened. He fell to them at number 8. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we can have him too? Who would pass that up? So, no, I think
I would, because Dallas Turner was available right there. Dallas Turner, Latu, Byron Murphy.
What is the most important position in football?
The most important position in football is quarterback. I understand that.
Right.
But they got their guy already. Why? You have 3 draft classes later to choose from.
Okay,
Michael Penix Jr.
Hang on. Kirk Cousins is a guy. Michael Penix has the opportunity to be the guy. They have different ceilings, right? Michael Penix's ceiling is all-star, is MVP.
I understand that. He can be the best of the best. But you have Kirk Cousins 4 years locked down on the highest paid contract, one of the highest paid contracts in football. You are not gonna sit him for a rookie or a second-year guy.
If he doesn't play,
they're in a win-now situation.
If Kirk Cousins plays poorly, then they'll bench him for Penix. If he gets hurt, then they have a really good backup. And by the way, there are so many teams that need quarterbacks. Raiders. That if something happens to Derek Carr, or something happens to somebody like Gardner Minshew, or something happens to the Giants quarterback, there are a bunch of teams that might be willing to take Kirk Cousins and have the Falcons pay half of his contract for the last 3 years, and they only pay him $20 million. And Michael Penix moves in. There's flexibility there. I believe Michael Penix is going to have a dynamite career, and I believe Michael Penix is most likely to be a bust. Caleb Williams is most likely to be a bust.
I think he won't be a bad quarterback, but he's not going to live up to the hype what it is. Despite that, it's just I think it was a dumb move for the Falcons to make that draft. But moving on, betting show. I want to get my bets of the week out. Yeah, obviously, Rams +3 against the Lions, my home team. 2 prop bets for that.
Is that in
plus
Detroit?
100 in Detroit? Yes.
Right.
In Detroit, I think one of the best prop bets you can have for it, Matthew Stafford +100 for half a yard rushing. I think that's a guaranteed lock. He's rushed for 11 out of 17 games last year. Every time he's played against the Lions in his career, he's had over 14 rushing yards. So that's a complete lock-in. And then second prop bet you want to get, Kyron Williams over 64.5 rushing yards, minus 114. Loud, go ahead and take it away for whatever you want.
By the way, we have a new live show on the Winners and Winers YouTube channel that you can get called Betting in the Break. 4:15 Pacific time, Winners and Winers YouTube, Betting in the Break. Saturday nights and Sunday nights, we're talking about either growing your bankroll or getting even in the late games in college football, and then Sunday night football and Monday night football. So catch that show on the Winners and Winers YouTube channel with me and Christian and special guests every Saturday and Sunday night. And you can see your same Steer the Line folks and special guests from the Winners and Winers crew.
1 minute.
Let's talk about what is your one best bet for the weekend?
Oh, Jets plus 6.5. Jets plus 6.5. As good as that 49. Yeah,
the line now.
Yeah,
it's gone all the way to plus 6.5.
Yes.
Huh. I'm going to say Chargers money line. The Raiders going to lose.
All right, we will see how those bets turn out next week for